Welcome to Learning by Doing with Praveen Kandan. This is Praveen. In this Java exceptional handling playlist, we will discuss about exception handling concepts from the scratch. This is Java exception handling session number 9, Introduction to Try Block. If you are confident about learning, then like the video, subscribe the channel for more update. Please click the bell icon and choose all notification option. Don't choose personalized option. You may miss some session updates. Let's get started. In our previous session, we have discussed about null pointer exception in Java programming. So in this session, we'll discuss about the try block concepts in Java programming. Before that, we'll try to identify where exception may occur. So how to identify where exception may occur. So the simple thumb rule is wherever user input or external data exists, there is always a chance of exception. If user is providing, previously in session number 1 and 2, we discussed. So, what are the types of errors may occur? Then, what's the difference between errors and exception? So, when is exception is handling? That is, when is exception is coming, and then how to handle it, we'll discuss. Same thing here. So, whenever user input or external data exists, they are providing the input. As a user, they are providing the input, so there may be a chance of getting an error exception. There may be a chance of getting an exception. So in the above examples, exception chances are when user enters the inputs dividing by some value. So dividend value is provided by the user. At the time the user is giving zero, that is the type 1 error. We will discuss arithmetic exception. And then wrong array index. If you're getting the position number and then inserting a value, at the time for giving the out of index position number giving, it will give the array index out of the exception. Type 2 we have discussed. In type 3, invalid string input. That is a we are converting the string into integer. At that time, the string contains integer, no issues. In type 3, we have discussed. In case if you're giving the string like Java and then converting into what is that integer means using the parsing, it will throw an exception. Type 4 null reference. Last session only I discussed. If you're calculating the length for the normal string, no issues. If you're calculating the length for a null, it will throw an exception, null pointer exception. So prerequisite, please watch the session number 1 to 8 and then watch this session, then you can able to easily recollect the previous sessions concepts. Okay, real time example, getting username and password validation in a web or mobile application. If your username or password is invalid, it shows the error message. Please give the correct username or password, maybe a net banking application or some government websites or commercial websites or e-commerce. So if you're giving the username password, or you can take your online UPI transactions, GPay or PhonePay. If you're giving the wrong password, it will give the error. But the important note is application must not crash. Am I right? Due to your wrong password, application is not going to crash. Am I right? Application not be terminated. You just give the alert message. This is the actual process. Am I right? Application is not crash. So like that, because if you are giving the exception handling, the rest of the code is not executed. Program completed line is not executed. But this is not happening in the day-to-day life. So only you just give the alert message. Your username or password is wrong. While you're seeing your academic results, so if you're giving the register number or roll number and then password means a date of birth is your password maybe. If you are giving wrong, it will give the message, please give the right password or right register number. It is not going to crash. Application is not going to crash. Okay. So what the message they will give, the prompt invalid user name or password, please try again. So application continues running. This is what exception handling in real time systems. When it is wrong, it is handling. Same core concept we are coining here, try and catch. So first we'll try to understand the try block. What is the usage of try block? Okay, so step by step all these concepts behind that, how to learn That is how to handle the exception. Okay, you're learning how to handle the exception. First, try block. What's the usage of try block? So it contains the risky code. So you just previously identifying that. So these areas are, we may get an exception. So you're like particularly we are giving the inputs, particularly when you're giving the inputs. So at the time you may identify that, example, if I'm opening the arithmetic exception problem code. So you're identifying that you're getting the input from the user. That input is maybe a zero, so it may throw an exception. So these areas, this problematic area or hot zone area or hot spot, that should be placed in a try block. Important thing, contains the risky code in the sense exception occurring code. We are predicting earlier. So this code may throw an exception. Example, if I'm executing, I may give the wrong input also. If I'm giving zero, it'll give the exception. Okay. May or may not be happen. I'm right. Next time I can give the correct input also. That I'm giving 5, you get the output, no issues. So may or may not be happen, but that is a hotspot area. So you have to give that a risky code or exception throwing code in the try block. So syntax is try curly brace. The risky code should be placed here in with the close curly brace. This is the syntax of try block. Okay. In case null pointer exception means, so you are looking about that this area may get an exception. So I'm calculating, first I'm reading the string value from the user, after that I'm calculating the length. So this part also a risky area hotspot one. So you just place it in the try block. Okay. So this is the first step of handling the exception. So followed by, whether you may ask the question whether shall I follow the try block alone? No. It should be followed by important tree question. It should be followed by the catch block. Try block should be followed by the catch block. So in the upcoming sessions, we'll discuss all these concepts in a real-time example, because what I'm planning means first I'm just explaining the theory concepts, afterwards followed by, so this problem we already discussed. So what's the solution for this problem? These things we'll discuss. Okay, this is what my plan. Okay, now just try to understand what is happening. If you found this session useful, then like the video and please share it with your friends. If you have any queries, please drop it in the comment section. We'll give you a reply. Thank you for watching.